Time after time, Sweet Baby Inc. games release and they're complete and utter failures, and we've seen a lot of layoffs within the gaming industry, but specifically at these companies. And now Reflector Entertainment is beginning mass layoffs after Unknown Nine Awakening utterly fails. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, Bandai Namco went out of their way to purchase Reflector Entertainment, thinking that Unknown Nine Awakening was going to be a behemoth game, that it was going to be a well-loved title that could start a big new franchise. They had plans for books and comics and other spin-off games, but it doesn't look like any of that's going to really happen now because Reflector Entertainment has began mass layoffs of its employees in the wake of Unknown Nine Awakening commercially and financially failing. Now, of course, yes, titles that are affiliated with Sweet Baby Inc. tend to do significantly worse than if they didn't have that name attached. But on the flip side, this game was not just bad because Sweet Baby Inc. It was bad in every way, shape, and form. It was the writing and storytelling, it was the character designs, it was the moveset, it was the combat, it was buggy, it was glitchy. There were multiple times within the game where you'd have a hub of NPCs and they would just copy and paste the same model 10 times over and repeat the same dialogue a bunch of times. It just was an all-around extremely bad experience. Again, even with SBI aside, but I do think that they probably affected it in a super negative way with the writing and the general character design direction. And it is sad because I don't want games to fail, and especially ones that have people that are a part of them that I like. It's like Anya Carlotta. She played Yennefer in The Witcher. She was the lead in this game, and I think that she's a pretty good actress, and I would have liked to see her break into the video game industry and be successful. I would have liked to see her in more games, but they butchered her character model. Her dialogue wasn't great just because the writing wasn't great, and that's not her fault, but I bet she's going to view this as a super negative experience, and she's probably never going to do a video game again. But hi, everyone. I'm seeking a new role and would appreciate your support. If you hear of any opportunities or just want to catch up, please send me a message or comment below. I'd love to reconnect. This is another person that worked at Reflector, a lighting artist. Hi, everyone. Sadly, I've been affected by the layoffs at Reflector Entertainment, and I'm currently on the lookout for a new role as a lighting artist. They talk about themselves a bit. You also have Kyrie Holton writing, "Hi everyone. I am looking for a new role in the games industry, either continuing my career in Dev QA or taking advantage of my training in Unreal Engine to begin in a development role. Thank you in advance for any connections, advice, or opportunities you can offer." There's also people, Mano. "Hi, everyone. I was affected by the layoffs at Reflector Entertainment. Benjamin, I'm looking for a new role effective immediately. After nearly 3 years at Reflector as a game designer, it's time to move on." So there are tons of people that are affected by this. And while we do not know the exact numbers, the company's general manager revealed that it was reducing their team by approximately 18% of Reflector's total workforce. And I bet that they are either going to do some kind of DLC for this game, or they've already been working on another title. Again, Bandai went out of their way to purchase this studio the same way that Sony went out of their way to purchase Firewalk for Concord, and that was a disastrous situation. But I can't say that I'm particularly shocked by this, and if they had created a better game, this probably wouldn't have happened. But you have Sweet Baby's reputation mixed with the fact that it's just a bad game and it's not a good combination. But we've seen this happen a bunch over the past couple of months. We recently found out that the Tales of Kinzara Zhao developer actually laid off their entire team and put the entire games division on hiatus after previously claiming the game's sales were fine. In a post to X, Surgent Studios shared, "We've decided to put the work of the Surgent Games division on hiatus while we secure funding for our next project. In the meantime, we've unfortunately had to put our team on notice for redundancy." Everyone at Surgent worked incredibly hard to create Zao, a game that truly comes from the heart. Their passion, creativity, and dedication are nothing short of extraordinary. There are still a couple of exciting updates coming down the pipeline for Zao. If that will actually come to fruition, who really knows? But there you go. An entire team was laid off. And we also had heard reports that said the Flintlock Siege of Dawn developer A44 Games was expecting massive layoffs. And we never got a confirmation on this, but since they have said that they're not doing any updates for Siege of Dawn, one would assume that they're either moving a small portion of those people to a new game, or they probably laid off almost everyone and they're planning to just hire a whole new team of people going forward. And then, of course, I had talked about this. I had initially broken the scoop a little bit before we got a full confirmation, but you also had Warner Brothers Games going through massive layoffs, specifically the, of course, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League situation with Rocksteady. Rocksteady went through layoffs. They laid off a ton of people after Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League failed earlier in the year. And while we haven't heard anything new on that front, we know that there are at least a handful of people that are finishing up that game, that are releasing the last two major seasons and big updates. And we know now that that is going to be Deathstroke, and it is going to be the real Batman, who is still going to die at the end. But yeah, I mean, it is just not a good situation all around. I mean, Sweet Baby Inc. definitely has a bit of a death touch, and I do think that part of that is them just not helping a game. They're really only hurting these titles by demanding character model changes and dialogue changes. And sure, they can sit here and say, "We don't do what you think we do," even though they do exactly what we believe they do. And I do also just think that gamers are defending themselves. They are speaking with their wallets, and they are no longer buying trash. They know that a game like Unknown Nine Awakening is most likely going to be bad, judging by teasers and trailers, and so they stay away from it, which is the way to go. If you do not think a game is going to be good, don't pre-order it, don't purchase it. And sometimes we end up being wrong. Sometimes we think a game is going to be bad and it's actually really fantastic, but that hasn't been the case with basically any Sweet Baby games. We also know, funny enough, that Alan Wake 2, which was supposed to be one of their largest games, only behind God of War Ragnarok, it still has not recouped its development and marketing costs. So it just goes to show that even if you have an established franchise like Alan Wake, it still may not turn out well. This was a game that went in a wacky direction that people were not big fans of. They basically said, "Oh, let's have another lead character, and we're still going to call it Alan Wake," even though they could have just taken Saga and given her her own story and kept Alan the focus of this one. But instead, the woman saves the day per usual. So I will be keeping my eye on the Reflector situation to see if anybody else decides to make any statements besides the, lead. If any of these developers decide to speak out on the most likely development hell that this game went through. But for now, that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.